Hey, it's Mike with Cross Country Mortgage. It's Monday. It's time for your Monday mortgage update for the week of October the 23rd. I hope you had a great weekend. Galen had a wonderful weekend. We got away, went up into the mountains, stayed at one of our favorite places in Ashland, and saw the fall weather. It's not here in the valley yet. It's coming. Fall is definitely in the air. So it is worth it to get out into some elevation and really see the changing leaves that are happening right now. So I always try to give you insight about what's happening in the market, what happened last week, what's going to happen this week, and give you some tools, tips, tactics, things that you can do when you go out and have those conversations with buyers and sellers that are asking about the market, what's happening. So last week just wasn't a great week. You can't put lipstick on a pig. The market was down 100 basis points, meaning that if I quoted your rate last Monday, and it was par, there was no cost for that rate, and I quoted you the same rate on Friday. Now it's 1 point to get that rate, 1%, 100 basis points to get that rate. So we saw an increase in rates and just an increase in price, depending on how you look at it. So what are we looking at this week? We're looking at a couple things. Inflation seems to be the one that's always there. That's why rates are up, is because inflation's up. And then GDP and debt, gross domestic product. How much is our economy growing or shrinking, and how is debt affecting our economy? So inflation. One report coming out on Friday, the PCE, it's the Fed focuses on this with their core inflationary number that they're trying to reach by raising rates, trying to get inflation down. And it's expected to go up on Friday, and that's not good for rates. So we need a weak PCE number to lower rates. And we just don't expect it to happen. Second thing is gross domestic product. So GDP is given to us in a percentage, and anything really above 2.5 is a strong growing economy. Anything less than a negative number is obviously a shrinking economy. But if it's really below 2%, that's not great news. And so the third quarter GDP numbers is coming out this week, and this is the first of 4 adjustments. So we're getting the third quarter GDP number, and we expect it to be 4.1. So anything above 2.5, the bond market doesn't look favorably on that. And why is that impactful for rates? Because if the economy is growing, typically rates go up. If the economy is shrinking or not growing as fast, typically rates come down. So if we're going to see a 4.1 number with a third quarter GDP, and the bond traders don't like anything above a 2.5 because that shows a growing economy, money's not going to be flowing into the bond market, and mortgage rates aren't going to be getting better. So there's going to be an overreaction to this number. There will be 3 other adjustments. To give you some perspective, the second quarter GDP came in higher, and then after the 4th adjustment, it came in at 2.1. But this could affect rates this week if there's an overreaction to this estimated higher number of 4.1. Debt. So the U.S. government sells debt. They sell bonds and notes every single month to raise money. And investors buy these. IRAs, 401ks, foreign investors, day traders, everybody buys bonds. And when the U.S. sells these bonds, they have to pay it back. So it's debt for the U.S. government. The U.S. is selling a 2, 5, and a 7-year note this week. They do it every month. And they've been doing this every month, again, for years. And the market is really saturated with all this debt. And there hasn't really been much of an appetite for it. So the U.S. is adding, this week, they'll be adding $1.2 billion in debt every hour. That's $28 billion every single day. And there has not been an appetite for this. So if nobody's buying this is increased debt for the U.S. government. And that is a saturated number. And basically, if there's no appetite for it, money's not flowing into the bond market, and that's not favorable for mortgage rates. So in perspective, this really doesn't appear to be a strong week for mortgage rates. We need numbers that are different. We need maybe some big issues around the world that could cause a flight to safety where people want to park their money in the bond market, but just not a great week estimated for mortgage rates. So I want to talk about the seasonality of real estate. So we're seeing 2 things that are obvious. We see high rates, but we're also seeing increased inventory. And increased inventory is being talked about in the news. That it shows that the housing market's really doing poorly. But keep in mind that every year this time of year, we always see inventory go up because it's the holidays. It's the colder months. It's spring, it's fall, and it's winter, and fewer people buy houses. Fewer people look. Nobody wants to move during the holidays, and so just by the nature of the seasonality of real estate, we see increasing inventory and less people buying. But this really is always a great opportunity for buyers to buy right now because sellers are more willing to negotiate. There's less competition. Add the higher rates, there's even less competition. There's still a very, very low number of inventory in perspective to normal levels. And so it's a great opportunity for those buyers that are looking not to freeze, not to, play into the norms of not wanting to buy right now, but to get out there and look at properties because there's more of them out there, there's less competition, and sellers are more willing to negotiate. So I know you know all this, but it's just a good reminder to not play into, well, it's a slowing market, so I'm going to slow down. Pick up market share right now. Pick up market share by connecting with your buyers and sellers and letting them know what's happening in the market. So what are we doing this week? We're floating into this week, cautiously floating. If we see any changes in the market, we'll move to a locking position. Have a great day. Please forward this to somebody that could benefit from it, and I'll talk to you next week.